Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy friends. It is Joe in the pilot seat for Chapter 341 of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. 350 is right around the corner. It seems like just yesterday we had Steve Sansweet on for our 250th episode, but it's been quite a while. So, Chapter 341. And today we have a special guest. We've had this gentleman on a few times before. We're very excited to have him back. And hey, these guys are ready to party while Joe's gone too. So this is my last hurrah before the cat's away and the mice will play, as we say here at Rule the Galaxy. But welcome. Follow us at Rule the Galaxy or Rule the Galaxy SW pretty much everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching right now. Thank you. And the podcast will be out very soon. So check us out there. But I'll go around the room and do some quick introductions to the regular crew before we get to our special guest. I'm going to start with Mr. Brent Dykman. How are you doing, Brent?
I'm hanging around. I believe I was forwarded a message from one of our listeners. We got a email about playing some RPG games, and
Yes.
that they shared their long backstory that they created for. I believe it was like an Imperial officer. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I read through it. Want to give you an update. Han Shin has an oath to protect the youth of the galaxy. He is working with a little crazed he's a Rhodian that got tased too many times that thinks he's a Mandalorian, and he has Mandalorian armor. But he was talking crap to the kids and about these kids that we had to go try and save. I was about to go full like remove arm removal on him, but we finally saved the kids. We got through. It was a good experience. One of the players had never played an RPG before, and that dude has since in our text chain asked about 25 to 30 questions about XP and how to spend XP and how he can spend his money and just like what he can do to make his character and grow his character. And he had never played an RPG before, so the fact that like that dude's living rent free in his head is awesome for the rest of us. So I think it was Lynn
Yep.
was the name of the listener. So
Yep.
Lynn, there's an update. Han Shin and the group were able to save a bunch of kids. I'm kind of the depressed Wookiee Jedi, so no one knows I'm a Jedi. So I wasn't able to use any of my powers. I only want to use it if it's like a dire need and I can show it off. Kind of like think Kanan Jarrus, where he didn't do anything until he had to save Ezra on that first episode with Wookiees,
You
if I
got it.
remember correctly. So
Well,
yeah, this is me. I talked for a while. I apologize, but yeah.
no, no, I'm glad. And I wanted to follow up. Yeah, Lynn Rich. And Lynn is from Bluffton, Indiana. And Lynn, yeah, was very excited about your talk about RPG. So Lynn, thank you very much. Lynn is not on Twitter, which I know is we spend a lot of our time, but on Instagram, it's at LYNNFERD, Linford. But Lynn Rich from Bluffton, Indiana, thank you for sending that across. We always appreciate when you send things in, and I'm just glad that we tease Brent because we're toy guys here, D-Doc, Alfie, and myself. Brent's into RPGs and he's into legions and things like that, and we let him have his time because it's entertaining, but somebody else finds it entertaining as well, Brent. So
I,
there you
I
go.
mean, so like Doc and Alfie both play video games. Essentially, what this is the dungeon master has created a level of Jedi Survivor where you have NPCs, you have things that you work together to try to solve. You make the decisions just like you're running around in circles, and instead of hitting the B, Y, and X buttons, you're rolling dice to see if those decisions come to success. And that's basically what it is. And then you kind of play off of each other.
You got it.
I like the
Well,
sound of it.
yeah, I'm happy you're enjoying it. I have the patience of a rabbit, so I could not sit still and play those kind of games at all. I'd have to be running around and bouncing around somewhere.
I mean, my session was about 3 to 4 hours, but the deal is like you don't feel like it's just like if you are truly engaged in something, it feels
Yeah,
like it's a half an hour,
you're correct.
right? If it's
You
a
are
good
correct.
movie, A 3 hour movie, if it's good and entertaining, feels like it's 20 minutes. If it's a bad movie and it's an hour and a half, it feels like it's 3.5 hours.
You are
It's
correct, my
all
friend.
relative.
It is. It is. Before we go to our next person, I'm just going to give another quick shout out. Friend of the show, race car driver and announcer for Fox Sports, Jack Harvey, who's been on the show a number of times, just put in and is part owner of the Lincoln City Football Club in England. That
Wow.
was his home club when he grew up. And
Nice.
so exciting news. And I sent him a message today and I said, my friend, you're going to have to get me to a match now. If you're part ownership, I need to be going sitting like Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney at Wrexham with you at Lincoln City. So, yeah. So, Jack, congrats on doing that. That's awesome. We're happy for you. Now now that IndyCar's over as well, we'll have Jack back on very soon. So that's coming up. Let's go to Alfie because Alfie's got, I don't know, maybe a little bit less going on than D-Doc right now. I don't know, maybe about the same. But Alfie, how are you?
We're doing better. We just, as a family, made it through our first back to school bug. So all the kids were sick last week, and now Enzo has an ear infection this week, and Inslee got a concussion yesterday in volleyball. So it's been a little hectic.
Okay. School fun. School fun.
Yes, every
I'm
day it's something new.
So glad I'm way past that right now. Yeah. And your son's football team won last week, right?
Yes, they did. They beat Greenwood. Pretty big win. Greenwood. Brent, is Greenwood 5A or are they 4A?
They're 4. They're a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's bigger than you, right?
Yeah,
So you guys are
right,
in the
yeah.
3A, so it's a bigger school.
Nice.
That's a big win.
Big
Good
and pretty
victory.
good too, right?
Yeah, it was a real close game going into halftime. I think it was like 15-12, and then they ended up winning, I think 35-15.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was fun. I mean, we all love football. We play fantasy football together, but there's just something about small town football. I know it's silly and campy, but
Was
being
it at
there-
the creek?
Yes, it was at the creek. Everyone's at the game. The trucks are lined up at the fence.
They like to tailgate down there at the creek.
Yeah.
That's
If it was really silly though, Alfie, would they keep making movies about it? I mean, remember the Titans?
But that's the thing,
Joe. That's
until
30
you're
years
there,
old.
you think it's silly, But the football team comes out of the maintenance building, and when they open that garage door up and the music starts and the train horns start, it's exciting. It's a lot of fun.
Indiana train horns. There we go.
Yeah, I did not know this, but Milwaukee makes a train horn.
Oh, like the Milwaukee company, like the tool company, Milwaukee.
Okay.
It looks like a cordless drill, but it's got a train horn on it.
That's awesome. I need to get one of those.
That's what I was going to say. I know the next person I'm going to, he's already thinking about buying one of those. D-Doc.
They're very pricey.
D-Doc's back from Disney, back from the crazy journey with the family. I'm guessing you had a really great time. I love the pictures and the updates, but how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It was a very good trip. We did the drive and we did the full length from Orlando back past Philadelphia the second day. So,
what is that? 22?
16 hours.
16? Damn.
Yeah. So if we didn't get greedy and go to, we got greedy and went to Disney Springs after we checked out on the last day. So we didn't leave till 1:00 in the afternoon. So if we left early, it wouldn't have been as bad at the timing of when we got home, because I drove through the night because I'm kind of a night guy anyway. I did drink a Red Bull, which I never drink energy drinks. I'm a coffee guy.
Did it give you wings? Did it give you wings?
It did. Those wings got me home. But it's funny. It's like the driving that late at night, and then I'll get a little bit of the trip. We'll talk about it more, I guess, later, whatever, because I could talk about it forever. But man, it is crazy to see the people who definitely were out pounding beers and getting onto the road. It really is.
What day were you driving? Were you doing like a
It was
Saturday night?
Saturday, and I
Saturday into Sunday?
I said to Meg when I took over, I was like, "It's 10 o'clock." I was like, "I'm gonna be driving through the night." I'm like, "This is the first weekend of college football, and I'm about to be driving through through North Carolina, Virginia." Like, I was like, "We're coming up from the south here." I was like, "It's college football Saturday," so I was nervous about that. I probably saw about 8 accidents on the way home.
Wow.
I mean,
And
we're
it's
also talking about 1,000 miles of driving, though, too. So 8
Yeah.
accidents
Well,
per
8
mile
accidents.
doesn't seem so bad.
8 accidents in a span of probably 4 hours, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, where there's like no one on the road. You have to be a dumbass to hit someone at that point. But yeah, so we had a great time. Believe it or not, did not go on Millennium Falcon ride or Rise of the Resistance.
Did you ride the Pandora?
Yes, I did finally, dude. Dude, that is awesome.
It is one of the best rides I've ever been on in my life.
Here's one thing about me. I don't love heights, okay? So whenever I go on Soarin', I like that ride, but I can't help but to look down and notice that I'm like 20 feet in the air. With the Avatar ride, I thought it was just going to be a screen in front of my face, like on the wall. That wall opened up, and then I realized I was like, holy shit, I'm like 30 feet in the air overhanging this right now. And you see like all these other people.
Oh, yeah.
If you want, once I realized that though, I was like, I'm just immersing myself in this because the screen was around you and you really don't notice everybody around you. If you look around, you notice it. But that was really fun. And I had a good wait time for it. Everything was great. I mean, our wait times, I went hard. There, like the days when it would be like maybe Meg or the kids would go, or Meg and like the girls or like her parents would go home like around 4 and then come back out. Me and little David were staying in the parks and we were going till, which they all went hard as well. Don't get me wrong. But if there was a day where breaks were being taken, I was not taking the breaks. So,
man, I'm just glad you made it through those family vacations. You know, Disney included, all the parks. Sometimes it can wear a man down, but you've come out stronger on the other side.
I love it. See, that's the thing that helps is I personally enjoy visiting the parks as well, and so does my wife. So it's like we have fun with the kids doing it, and everyone. I don't know. We kind of took them there at a young age to where it's like they know what they're in for when we're going there. So there's not really a lot of complaining and stuff, and it was good. It was a good time.
Good. Well, glad you're back, and yeah, let's talk more about it as we get through. As things pop up and you remember things or things you want to hit on, let's do that. But we've been putting this guy off for a little while, and he is our special guest. We've had him on. I think this is the third time you've been on, Mark. But Mark Anthony Austin, you know, we all know him as, hey, one of those guys who was lucky enough to wear the armor and be Boba Fett. He was Boba Fett in the special edition of A New Hope. And man, we're just so glad to have you back. And we wanted to check in with you and see how you were doing and what's going on, Mark. Glad to have you here.
I'm doing good. Surviving. Not been as busy these last 2 years as normal. But some projects that I have worked on have been really, really fun. And I'm glad to share them with you guys. I just finished on a Walmart commercial. I was telling the guys I just finished on a Walmart commercial, and it's a commercial for the toy line for this year. And they had a series of toys. I think there's like 10 of them that they wanted to feature in the commercial. And then partway through, they said, "Oh, we want to add a new Lego set to the commercial." So they said, "Are you familiar with this guy?" Which is a silly question, really, if you guys were asking it, but Walmart didn't know. And I guess the director told them he's very familiar with this character, this ship, and how it flies, how it lands, how it turns, how it changes direction. This guy knows. And so they sent that was an extra, because we had to build the first one so we could scan it for the commercial.
Sure.
But they sent an extra one especially for me. So
that
was
awesome.
fun. That was fun. That was what I just finished a couple of weeks ago.
What's the name on the box? I just want to know. Just want to know.
I'm not even going to repeat it.
Okay.
I'm not
So
even going
it's
to
that
repeat
name.
it. It's
So it is that
It's
name.
that
Okay.
name. It's his starship, It's his
Yeah,
starship.
yeah.
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. And they actually corrected me and said, "Is that the PC?" And I said,
Oh,
"Don't
gosh.
get me started. Don't get me started."
Well, Mark, we got a message to you already. Dr. Squatch is one of our friends of the show, and we've had him on a number of times. A great young man. Love your tweets, Mark. So many cool set pics that you post. And I've told you that before, man. Some of the things on Twitter that you post, man, I just love it. I want to go dig down the rabbit hole of the shots you show. So, and you do a lot of that where you just kind of dig and find that yourself, right?
Yeah,
Where you post them.
Yeah, literally dig either that morning that I'm posting or the night before, and find a handful of images that I think are worth sharing that I haven't seen, or I haven't seen in a long while, or I'm a behind the scenes image bounty hunter. So that's what I am.
No, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Go ahead, Brent.
So you mentioned scanning, so that just brings me to like a question. I know that you're in the animation and you do a lot of the graphic art. Do you have like a studio at home where you scan the image yourself, or is that like when you go to work and like, go to the studio, they had to assemble
Yeah.
it so you could scan it?
Well, that's the thing is you think it'd be a really kind of complex thing you'd have to assemble. It looks like an 80s telephone, like a mobile phone from the 80s. It's kind of a bit more hexagonal. It looks like it could come out of a kit from Knight Rider. Look like if you could have a phone that fit the car, this would look like it. And they literally just go around like this, round the thing, and it just there. It's just scanned,
And that puts it in digitally, right? So that makes
It's
the
in
digital
digitally, yeah.
copies, and now you can do your magic and your animation with it because it's now digital in the system.
Yeah, and the thing is that that's the quick and dirty. So that's not what they're going to use for the final. That will actually model it for real. But it's good enough that you can actually see with all the colors and the textures and the stickers and everything on there exactly what the product is. And then it's not really set up in a way that you can articulate it.
Hmm.
But it's good enough to fly through the shot and kind of get a buy off on the action, which is my challenge, is to kind of try and get into the head of the director and show the director his or her image or vision on the screen. That's my job. As quickly as possible within a couple of weeks.
So,
Nice.
so what I read on one of your IMDb things was like pre-visualization, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the nerd I think we're all the nerds. The first time I'd ever heard of pre-visualization was watching the gallery with Favreau and Filoni, and they were talking about with Mando, which is basically the shot before the shot. So
Yeah.
it's like it goes storyboard in somebody's head, then it goes to this pre-visualization, which is early animation, and then it gets cleaned. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So you work on the pre-visual, like so this Walmart ad and that and the starship that shall be named the Slave One. Are you like what aspect are you working on with that in this Walmart commercial?
Well, okay, for this Walmart commercial, one of the biggest things in previs is not only what's in front of the camera, but the camera itself. So you have to determine, what lens you want to pick, for each shot, and any camera moves. So this, when you see it, when it comes out in December, you'll see it. It's almost like a roller coaster. So it's one camera, flying through the toys, highlighting each of them. You have to give them each their window, try and be fair about it, but be dynamic and smooth. And so my biggest challenge is to not only animate the people on the set, but the camera as well. So that goes for it's basically like you have a virtual set with the virtual actors, and I have to move them around how they're going to interact so they all choreograph together. I have to put the effects in, I have to put lights in, I have to animate the vehicles, the props, and then the camera. And then I show all of that kind of working in harmony, like I said, choreographed together working as a single unit. Show that to the director and hopefully get a buy-off. But he's going to look at it, or she's going to look at it and make changes. Like, oh, could we spend a bit more time on this? Can we get through this quicker? Can you center this a bit more here? So you have to kind of you get your notes, you go away for the day, you address your notes, you show them the next day, then they make their more refinement changes. So you slowly kind of hone it or polish it into the final commercial, or the final shot.
And are they polishing the polygons, and are they polishing the skins that they're going to put on this at the same time?
Sometimes.
Or do they wait for you to be done and then skin it?
No, sometimes, like I said, I could be working with the scanned version of the model, which, like I said, didn't have any articulation in it. But then they'll say, oh, we have the model ready. Can you substitute that into the commercial now? And so then I have to swap out this rough version for the final version. That happens every now and again. Sometimes you have to do a bit of backtracking because maybe it's a different size, or maybe they haven't, they've added some things you have to animate now, like wings or doors or wheels, or So it depends. It kind of like evolves as it goes along. So yeah. Can you hear my dog Wookie in the background?
Oh yeah.
It's dinner time. It's his time to make himself known.
Hey, I get it. Mine do that to me pretty much every day. They track me down. It's time to eat. Let's go. Mine, of course, are 15-pound little tiny dogs that you just hear them yelping and ear-piercing barks. But Alfie was good enough to send over some of the more recent work you've done, and looking at some of the things you were involved with just in the past few years. I just am amazed, to think about you're involved with something, even if you never meet these people or you never interact with these people. But Leo, that was an Adam Sandler movie. Cruella, that was an Emma Stone movie. The Call of the Wild with Harrison Ford. I mean, Noelle, what's her name again? The singer. She's really Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty cool names, and to have yourself tagged along with that just in the past few years, do you sometimes go, wow, for us, it's a big deal to speak with someone like yourself or some of the people that we interact with that are authors or that are voice actors, to think, wow, we're this close to a Star Wars thing, right? But you're involved with things with people that are movie stars. I mean, do you just go, wow, my name's on the same screen as theirs?
Yeah, cool? I mean, I do feel really blessed, and I've always admitted that I could get struck by lightning tomorrow and die, and be happy that I've led a full life. I mean, I feel like I've led a very blessed life. I'm as much a geek and a nerd about these things. When I'm working on, I got to work this year on Blue Eye Samurai season 2, and I was nerded out. I just nerded out. I was a big Blue Eye Samurai, a big fan, and I got to work on Wednesday season 2. It's actually the finale. Yeah, the finale episode.
What kind of work did you do?
No spoilers, Brad.
Okay. I apologize. I'm just curious. Well, because I'm going to go switch back to Cruella, though.
There might be a chase that goes over rooftops. That's all I'm saying.
But I don't want. No NDAs, not breaking NDAs or anything. I apologize.
It's out now. It actually came out today.
So Cruella, right? Cruella is a live action. And your animation, one of the first things that blew me away from our first conversation. Yes, I know that we're on a Star Wars podcast. Yes, I know that you were Boba Fett in the special editions. But what blew me away is that you worked on Casper. The fact that and you were also kind of partially responsible for the Jawa swinging around on the Brontosaurus, right? So with Cruella. It's a live action, so what kind of things did you do in Cruella?
Okay, so they had to animate the dogs.
Oh, okay, duh.
There's no way they could get the dogs to do what they wanted. Even when they're walking with the dogs on the leashes, those aren't real dogs. So
Really?
I would have to rough animate the dogs,
Hmm.
rough animate the leashes, make it try and match it to what the guy's doing. If the guy does
Wow.
that, I got to make the dog do something that pulls the leash to make his arm go that way. So what I'm doing in that case is validating the play. So obviously they've taken like multiple shots, multiple takes of this guy with the leash, these two guys with walking the dogs. They decided upon one they liked. Okay, this is the one we like. This is the one we want you to use. Put the dogs in and see if you can make this look good with the dogs in it and the leash, and because we like the live action part. So can you make some rough animation that proves that this is going to work? So when we send it to final animation, they can basically work on top of your rough and kind of finish it off. So a lot of the dogs, even the rough animation, if you squint your eyes, it could be a real dog,
Yeah.
Lots of different things. Whenever they have any blue screen shoots, there's a whole section of that movie where it's the guy in a rowboat, and of course he's not in the rowboat, he's not in the ocean, he's just on a boat on some hydraulics, But we had to kind of put a rough
The water.
in there, and then the dog at the front that has to react or look like he's reacting to the movement of the boat, It's when you do a storyboard, it's very easy to cheat the scale of something. So when I get it, I have to actually put it in front of the camera that all these characters are to scale to one another, and it might not line up exactly to the storyboard I'll try to get to, and you can choose different lenses to kind of help you get it to look like the storyboard. But it takes all of the cheating that can happen in storyboard and brings it into 3D scaled, reality, but a 3D environment where everything is to scale to one another. And that's when everything I do goes off to final. So I was always worried that the final guys hated what I did, because we're taking a lot of that creative, muscle and flexing it ourselves. And when they get it, they're basically reproduce this, but finished. We get 3 to 4 hours to do a shot. They get a week. That's the difference. Because I started in finals. When I worked on Casper, the first 15 years of my career was finals. So I would be there with Casper. I had my shot. I get issued it on Monday. I've got till Friday afternoon to get it approved. And they will use those 5 days. They'll use them. Sometimes you finish. I think I'm finished on Wednesday, but they'll be tweaking it, and it will finally be finished on Friday. But in my job, I have to get that 2 shots per day. So I have to get 1 out before lunch or just after lunchtime, and then 1 before 6. And that's a slow pace. Now, there's some days you have to do more than that.
Gotcha.
But on Casper, I wasn't only working on. I was actually the lead animator for Casper. So my first job was to. I wonder if I've got the book here.
While you're looking for the book,
Yeah.
do you live in a pet store? Because I'm hearing birds now too.
There's birds. We have a menagerie. Don't get me started on but my first job was to design all his mouth shapes and brow shapes. So this is an asymmetrical smile. What's down here? Oh, this is stretch. I didn't do stretch. I just did Casper. Oh, these are left, right, up. Oh, these are brow shapes. So obviously Casper's brows aren't usually that high, but when he's surprised, they have to go up. So my first job was to design all his extreme facial expressions. So the happiest or the biggest smile possible, because you never will go beyond that extreme shape. So you have to take it to the absolute limits so they can go from neutral all the way to extreme. And they've got all those blend shapes between,
That is a highly underrated movie. I mean, it really is. It's got star power in it. It's got a great story to it.
Kid friendly.
Kid friendly. Little
30 years
scary
old.
for. Yeah.
Wow. 30 years old.
My
This year.
kids love it. My kids still love it to this day. So.
It's a good reminder that I'll show it to my kids around Halloween season this year because I remember watching Casper as a kid. I know that VHS is still at my parents' house, so
It's
I
actually
love
out in
that movie.
theaters. They're re-releasing it for the 30th anniversary.
No way.
So I'm going to make sure I'm going to see it because I had to go and see it 5 times in the theater just to kind of see it as a movie and not a bunch of shots that I'd worked on.
And pay your own
It took me a
salary.
while. It took and that as well. But it took me a while to watch it as I had movies before I worked on a movie. It was weird. The first movie you work on, you're not watching it like a movie. You're watching it as something you're very familiar with. You know, who did that shot? Who did that shot? Does that work? I could have done that better. You know, you're criticizing it, picking it apart.
To talk about the age of that movie. Am I wrong? But isn't Bill Pullman, who was one of the stars of that show, isn't his son in Thunderbolts?
I think so. His son's an actor now. Yeah,
his son is the Sentry in Thunderbolts. That's kind of crazy to think that he's that old, and Bill was probably that age or so when he made Casper.
Joe, you're old.
I mean, Christina
Brent,
Ricci.
stop it.
She was like a teenager.
Yes.
It had the priest from Saturday Night Live on it.
Oh my gosh, Father Guido Sarducci.
I did that shot.
Really?
They basically gave me a plate of him walking down. They had already kind of rough comped a head facing the other way, and they gave me a twisted neck, and I had to animate the neck so that it stayed between the two, and when he moved his head, I had to twist it so it looked like it was twisting with him. But
that's
was
awesome.
Fun. That was a fun shot.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
D-Doc, Alfie, me and Brent have been monopolizing. What do you have for Mark here?
Well, I'm also seeing that Eric Idle was in Casper. Which that is a memory from my Disney trip. Was the Figment show in Epcot, the little purple dragon. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that, but he did the show. Yes, I went on it 4 times with David because he was obsessed with it, and it is from the 90s. It's from like you walk in there and they have stuff from the movie Flubber in the area where you're walking in. But one thing I wanted to ask Mark about, which I just watched this movie recently, what was it like working on Ready Player One? Because I don't know that's something that we ever talked with you about. Because there is so much. I think it says you were previs for that, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
There's so much involved in that movie. It is like madness. So, like, what was it like working on that?
The thing is that when you get on these big movies, you only are privy to seeing the one sequence you're working on, and so and on that movie I got to work on a couple of sequences, but that was fun just because my first assignment on that was to do the DeLorean in the race. Especially at the beginning, and
that first race,
and the fun. Actually, a couple of shots that I worked on didn't make it into the final movie. There were some. The fun part was destroying the other cars that were in the race as well. There were like some really creative ways that they got destroyed or out. Obviously out of the race. Because they lost the front and the back end of their car or something. So that's what I started on. Then I went on to the Akira bike and the Kong moment. So when Kong kind of gets, in front of the bike and the bike jumps, I was working on that bit.
Yeah, that is awesome because that's like one of the most exciting parts of the movie. Is like rewatching it. I watched it when it first came out. I loved the book before the movie came out. Yeah, like it was one of my favorite books when that came out. And obviously the movie tweaked some things a little bit with some of the challenges and stuff, but that race was just awesome rewatching it. And I almost kind of forgot how incredible the stuff that goes on in that movie is.
That's the best thing about previews is that that's the one they're going to give you is the most expensive shot or the sequence. The one that's going to have the most effects is the climax of the movie. That's the one they want to really hone so they know it's as good as they can make it. So I did have to work on the fight between Mechagodzilla. And it wasn't Gundam when I did it. It was Ultraman.
Yeah,
They
which is
switched
original
it.
to the book.
They switched it to Gundam because they couldn't get the rights, I guess. But I did in my previous is Mechagodzilla against Ultraman paired up with Iron Giant. But that was fun as well, working on that stuff. But again, you go to the movie, and I expect to see what I did, and they're like, "Where's Gundam come from? Like, how's Gundam here?" Like, damn! But that did get me working on that Ultraman fight. I think clinched me the position on the Ultraman Rising movie, because I mentioned that in my interview, and that was a shoehorn into working on that show. I don't know if you guys have seen Ultraman Rising, but that was. Everyone asked me, out of the 50 plus movies you worked on, what's your favorite? And it always was A New Hope. Always was. Nothing ever came close to Star Wars, because I'm a huge Star Wars. That's my thing. But it got toppled by Ultraman Rising. Ultraman Rising just knocked that off the top. It was so fun. 18 months working on that movie. It was a joy. It was very rare in this industry to kind of work on a show where people check their egos at the door. It's hard working on a show when you have to take into account egos, and that is Hollywood for the most part. But Ultraman Rising, it was like everyone just it was a level playing field. Everyone was there to make the best movie we could as a group, and nobody was silenced. Everyone had a voice. Everyone could offer an opinion. All the opinions were listened to by the directors and considered, and some were acted upon. But I'm kind of waffling from.
No, you're good.
We started with Ready Player One, and now we're on
No, it's
Ultraman Rising.
It's funny though, because when I saw when I saw the movie for the first time, I was like, oh, they took Ultraman out, and I was like, I don't know if they did it because it was more of like a pop culture thing where they're like, maybe more people will know Gundam or whatever, but I mean, it like you said, if it was a movie rights thing, but
I don't know. It could have been.
My son loved that Ultraman movie, and I remember I told him, I was like, I heard this movie is very good. I'm like, I need you to wait. I was like, I need you to wait for me to watch this. And I remember the one night he watched it, and then he was just like, this movie is awesome. So yeah, you loved it.
The other reason I make it my top is that there's 47 sequences in the movie, and I got assigned 12 of those. So that's a quarter of the movie. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I had so much fun on that show, and and I think that if I do, I was telling the guys I'm talking about a new job with Lucasfilm, and I think that working at Ultraman might be the thing that kind of helps me get that job, because a lot of the guys that worked on Ultraman are interviewing me. So
nice.
Yeah. So fingers crossed.
Okay,
positive vibes.
So Mark, don't say anything. I'm going to talk about what you just said. So he's interviewing for a Lucasfilm project that involves 3D animation and potential Gundam / like superhero-ish type things.
I don't know about Gundam superhero.
Okay, so what is Ultraman, I guess?
Oh, Ultraman. We're talking about
because I'm not as knowledgeable as DDoc over here on that.
Oh, for the Ultraman. The Ultraman was very. There's been a lot of Ultraman series. There's another one on Netflix that people were like, "Oh, you're working on Ultraman? Yeah, I've seen it." No, not that series. We work on this new animated feature. We were very careful to make sure he got the blessing of Tsuburaya. He's the creator of Godzilla and Ultraman. So we involved him very early in the storyboard stage to kind of get his blessing on the story and how it fit into Ultraman history, because we made sure that it tied into everything that went before. because we wanted to kind of extend the story. So it basically is a story of Ultraman having to pass, the torch to his son, and his son to have to take up the role of Ultraman and kind of do as good as his father had done, and even though he's reluctant to. That's basically the premise for the story. And we were very lucky to get Super Eye involved, and he actually was so behind it that I think that's why it did so well in Japan, because it had his blessing, and we checked, hit all his boxes he wanted checked, as far as kind of keeping to that Ultraman lore and everything. So
I'm definitely gonna have to check anything else to do with Ultraman, because, as Brent stated, I'm the old man, and certain things have passed me by. I've never checked anything out with it. I've heard of it before, but I've never jumped in on it. Alfie, were you gonna say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd been sitting on the Ultraman questions, while you guys were talking, and you stole all my thunder here. But that's okay, because I just remember the last time you were on, Mark, that you were so excited to work on that project. So
yeah,
I like hearing how it turned out and that you enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, like I said, I got brought on 6 months early. The head of Previs realized that he wouldn't have the time to do as much, as well as set things up for the pipeline and kind of oversee the larger way that Previs will feed into Final. We wanted to make sure that everything we did wasn't just kind of like, we send you an edit of the sequence. That is something that is useful, but we also want them to use our cameras. If we've gone to the length of animating out the cameras and the characters in the set, that's halfway there, So we were very careful to liaise with ILM in London and make sure that everything we was going to send them, they could use. They sent back some corrections, so we had to change some things. But Previs, if it's used properly, can save you 10% on your budget, because that work's been done already in rough. So I was brought on because John Bermudez was the head of Previs, and I came on for that first 6 months while he was kind of really busy and working out the most complex sequences that they had at the time. And then we hired, I think, 4 other Previs guys to help out. So there were like 5 of us in the end. But yeah, I had higher expectations for that movie, and it exceeded what I was hoping for, because, like I said, there was no egos. It was great. It was like we were a single organism that all had the same mindset. Like we were like Borg mind.
I think, Mark, actually, you just encapsulated what is so good about Rule of the Galaxy. No egos right here. That's why we're
Perfect,
so good.
yeah,
right,
see?
guys?
That's exactly what makes it run so smoothly.
I do agree with that statement, though.
What I was going to go back to, I was going to talk about what he potentially could be working on, right? Because without Mark answering,
yes.
I mean, we're talking animation. They're bringing back, or at least they're doing the Shadows of the Empire type things. I don't know, like a lot of what Mark's like most recent history is in like that like realistic animation almost like. So are we increasing our types of modeling of the realistic animation for like the next Disney Star Wars animation? I'm just throwing things out there. Mark doesn't have to react to anything.
That's right. We'll just let you spitball there. We'll take it and run with it. As we found out, we're allowed to say things. Just let Mark sit there and smile, and whatever happens, happens. But I wish him the best of luck with that.
Yes, correct. I agree. I agree as well.
Mark, one thing, I know you sent some files over to DDoc, but you have some Boba Fett artwork right there we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the one Alfie said that maybe you put up
Yeah.
on Twitter. If you could show that
Yeah,
real
I
quick.
finished it. Literally, I finished it 4 hours ago.
That is awesome.
So it's a bit of an original.
I'm gonna put you full screen.
It's I wanted
That's
to
amazing.
do like a splash of color in the middle and have it like a sketch.
It
top and
reminds
bottom.
me. It reminds
Is
me
it like
of
watercolor?
Yeah.
No, it's acrylic on canvas.
Oh, it's acrylic. Okay.
It
That
reminds
is
me of some of the coloring to do with the holiday special. Like, I mean, I know it's not a holiday special mask, but the coloring, I like that splash right there. That's
It looks like he played paintball.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the splash, and then I did the detail within the splash. So, yeah,
So-
it's fun.
so.
Fun
Like,
painting.
That's awesome.
do you? I know D-Doc's going to show some of the other things that Brent had asked about the Leia and the Probe Droid, but when you make this art, do you make it for yourself, or do you make it to where you say, "Hey, this is something I could potentially sell, or put on for bid or auction or things like that"?
Both really, because I started with a Vader one I did, and I just you're always as an artist trying to improve, and I was very lazy when it came to color and tone. Like I would see something as green and put green. I wouldn't see maybe it's slightly blue green, maybe it's slightly grey green, but I was very lazy in that. So I decided I'm going to do a painting where if I mess up the tone or the color, people are going to see it, because that's why I chose Star Wars, because everyone knows every pixel. If
Yeah.
you mess up Vader's face, or you get an eye that's the wrong size or shape or something not to scale, then it stands out. You're not sure what is wrong, but you know something's wrong with that image. It's not. You're not fooled into thinking that's a frame from the movie. And I wanted to see if I could fool people into thinking, is that a photo? Is that a frame from the movie, or is that real? And so I did it with that first one, and I was so pleased with the way it turned out that I did a second one. And then I got into the idea that maybe I can do a series where at some point I can have an exhibition of 40,
Would love
50
that.
paintings, and at that point there will be some for sale at that point.
You got it.
So that's kind of my thinking. And plus I was thinking of some way to combat the especially now combat the lack of work. So this year's been fun. Like I said, I worked on Wednesday, worked on Blue Eye Samurai, but it's the gaps between the jobs that kill you. It's like that maybe 3 to 5 weeks you're not working, and then you're on a show for a little bit of time, then there's another gap, and it's the gaps that kill you.
So it's like the idle mind is the devil's workshop, right?
It's that, but also it's like, okay, if it gets desperate, then I can sell them early.
D-Doc, throw some of those out there set real quick. Those are great.
Yeah,
So
so
that
Probe
one's really
Droid.
big. That one's,
Oh,
you
God,
can see
that's-
how big it is because of the helmets behind there in the cabinet.
That is photorealistic, my friend.
Man.
That is.
That's
And
amazing.
that's acrylic on canvas, or
That's acrylics on canvas, yeah.
yeah.
So for those
Yeah.
listening to the podcast, not watching on YouTube, it's Imperial Probe Droid on Hoth, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just to give you further, it looks like there is a mist. He has painted it in such a way that it looks like there is a mist of the just after landing in the front of it. So it looks like it gives it the movement.
Yeah. This is one of the few ones that like the one I just showed you in this one, that weren't a frame from the movie. This is my own
yeah.
image. Yeah, so
That's
That's
awesome.
fantastic. Do you have the other one up there, D-Doc?
Yes,
Or
I
other one
do.
Available?
Yeah, and I screwed up a little bit here.
No,
so
it's
let me-
okay. I like it. I like the screw ups. It makes it imperfections make for perfection.
it just shows it's live. That's what it shows.
And it shows that we're just some hacks that are sitting around chatting.
This one, this is my favorite Topps trading card, so I had to do this
Okay.
one from my childhood.
Wow.
That Dewback, and I was waiting to see this image in the movie, and it never appears. But it was always my favorite trading card. So I was like, maybe what if I could paint not just the image, but the whole card, even the frayed edges and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The lettering's going to be challenging, but I was like, screw it, I'm just going to do it. And
It
also
looks
get that
just like the
blue.
card.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was the aim.
The eye on that Dewback is awesome. I don't know if you guys checked that out, but just like giving you that side eye glance, like that's incredible. Yeah.
And
I
I
wish
guess
I-
I didn't realize that they had fur. I thought
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
all lizard. I didn't realize they were fur lizards.
No, the fur on the top. They have a ruff, like a collar of fur as well. Yeah,
That is awesome. All right.
Yeah,
It
that
is.
eye is a good
there's
side
that
eye.
one. And that
Or
one's
that
acrylic
one
on
there.
canvas as well.
I will
Mark, I can tell you
go to
what, right
another
now,
one.
I'm
Our
saying
screen is screwed up now.
it's okay. I think you've got 3 or 4 people right here who would buy some of this stuff if you ever did put it, because that's incredible. And I found when I go to conventions recently that I go and find different artists that are making something unique and individual, and not just run of the mill, not just a print of something from the movie, but like you said, make it your own view, right? Your own aspect. I that's what I've been buying. And it's like, it makes me happy to see kind of a different angle, different view, different coloring of those things. So man, I can only imagine what you do, what kind of damage you would do at taking things like that to one of those nice big conventions around you.
This one is a 3 foot by 4 foot
Wow.
canvas, so it's bigger than the other ones.
Mm.
This one was a behind the scenes image because in the movie he looks down, he doesn't fall upwards, he falls down. But in between takes, there's David Prowse looking up, or whoever's in the costume looking up, and someone took a picture, and I was like, oh, that's a great image. So, and plus the other thing was painting the background. It was going to be a challenge. So,
Yeah, I'm staring at that part of it. Again, I'm going to ask. It's acrylic on canvas again as well, right?
Yeah, these are all of them are acrylic on canvas except for the layer. The layer was pencil on card.
I mean, the reflection on Vader's armor is insane that you pulled off. Like, this is when you sent the email, I was scrolling through them, and I've seen the Leia picture and the droid before. I saw this one, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing this one, and I'm like, that is insane. Like, your talent is crazy.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you.
You'd fool me into that being a photograph.
Me too.
That was the challenge. That was the thing. Is that can I pull it off? Can I fool people into thinking, is that a painting or a photo?
How long did you spend on this thing, Mark?
That's the thing, is that if I had a room that was like an art room, then it wouldn't have taken so long. But I have to clear everything off the dining room table, make my mess, set up because all these are captured on time lapse. Set up my cameras for time lapse, paint, shoot for like 1 or 2 hours, and then clear everything up before dinner. So
Oh my gosh.
it was a process. So it was kind of when every now and again I would pull it out and work on it a bit more.
Did you
so
start?
For that reason, it took a while.
Did you start with a pencil outline? And so I guess
Yeah.
the next question is:
Yeah.
Is this you freehanding the pencil outline, or are you doing are you looking at this reference image and then freehanding it onto the canvas,
No.
or are you blowing it up and kind of doing a tracing of the pencil outline?
What I do is if I have an image, just because I want it to be exact, I will grid my image. So I have a photocopy with a grid. I will grid my canvas. So then it makes it easier.
So you can focus in on this square, and I can make it realistic.
Wow.
Not really the square. It's like where is the top of Vader? He's 2.5 squares down. Okay, that's the top of him there. That's the top of his helmet. How far is where does this bit stick out on his? And you can see from the squares. Oh, it's about this far compared to my squares. You're always cross checking.
is that gridding just for the previs of the artwork,
That's it.
and then you color it in as you go?
That's it. Exactly it.
Okay.
Wow.
That that is insane. I mean, the angles on the posts being hit by the lightsabers, it kind of almost has the roundness to the back. It's
Oh,
crazy.
okay.
Here,
That
I'm
was
gonna,
what
I'm
that
gonna
was for
put
your
you full
Mandalorian.
screen now, real
You're
quick.
good. So you
So
were
that's
using
what you
that.
used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
You got it.
So that
you're muted.
you're muted right now, Mark.
No, no, you're not.
That is exactly
go.
it. It's just so that I can make sure that I'm not having to redraw it. So
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
so
you were
it's
able
this
to get
high.
that dent. That's how you were able to get that dent to show up in the right spot. And
yeah,
I usually tell people the YouTube side of our show is more for fun, just silliness, things like that, for people who want to ride along on the ride with us. But most people, I'm like, oh, podcast, we put it out every week, blah blah blah. But the stuff we're showing on this, if you get a chance,
This is a
go to-
YouTube must watch. I agree.
this is go to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to the podcast, go back. Keep listen to this, whatever, but go back and check out some of these images if you're not seeing it on YouTube right now. So anyway,
And
and
then
this
this
is a pencil. I did do it just as pencil on white, and for some reason it wasn't popping enough. So I wanted to add a block of color, and instead of committing to a color, I put another piece of paper there and tried different colors that I thought might make it pop, and chose the yellow just because it really made her.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite. Some people love the slave Leia outfit best, but for me, it was always this Hoth outfit. I don't know why. Maybe because she looks like the girl next door, but that Hoth Leia in this Hoth outfit was my favorite. So,
No, it's unbelievable. Again, it's just crazy.
yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so if you ever get into the selling of the art business, I think you're gonna do just fine.
but the hardest thing is people keep asking for prints, but it's really hard to get a print of a canvas. I've had prints made, but they just don't. Either the blacks are off, it goes too dark, or it looks too light, and you can see, or you get the sheen of the texture of the canvas or something. I don't know how to get a decent. I can get a decent photo, but it's getting that photo replicated at the printers. And I said to the printer, "Is like, can I stand over your shoulder and make sure?" No, you can't. Damn it! You have to get 50 or 100, see if it's working or not. And it's a pain. It's a pain to get good prints. So I'm going to have to bug some of the other artists and say, who do you use? How do you do it? Because their prints look amazing. It looks like the actual artwork.
So you said that the goal was to make 40 or 50 for a collection.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I think I'm around 30 something.
Oh, wow.
33 maybe.
Okay.
There's some small ones. Here's some small ones here. This is a 5x7
Wow.
inch. I did do. Actually, I painted 10 more of
it's a
these.
side profile. Okay.
Yeah. And I did a Vader to match with him. Vader somewhere.
All I'll ask
Alfie,
is
that's a good tattoo right there. That
Yeah,
side
it is a good
profile would have been a
tattoo.
good tattoo.
Vader and
Yeah, I like that a lot. I would
Mark,
probably
when
I'd
it
get
does
that
come.
tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll Venmo you. But
I mean, just seeing that face in seeing that face in a tattoo in as part of a sleeve with the background of several other things with the Boba Fett. I can just Alfie, to plant that seed in your head, but that side profile with I don't know the fire spray behind it, and then maybe a Tatooine and the pit underneath.
Oh,
Yeah.
There you
the
go.
seed's been sprouting since the very first one. he
Oh, that
showed.
other one that he showed?
Yeah.
Mark, all I'll say is just if you plan to do this, we volunteer to be. We'll do a live show from the event and help promote it, and be more than happy to Yeah, we'll get the bidding going right there online for you on the
We can
podcast.
Okay.
We can host
Yeah.
the Whatnot show. We can host the
Yes.
We
Absolutely.
get auction. There you go.
No,
Yes.
it's incredible. It really is. I will say, you brought one thing up that I did see in Disney that I took a photo of, was
That's
this
right.
model ship right here that was in the Star Wars launch bay,
Yes.
and they do have the correct naming on it.
Yeah, like I always said, Disney made an issue where there was none. I mean, there was none. There's only two people in the world. There are people that know Star Wars and the people that don't know Star Wars. Correct? I mean,
True.
you could divide the whole world into one of those two groups. If you ask someone who knows Star Wars, what's Slave One? They'll say Boba Fett ship. If you ask someone who doesn't know Star Wars, what's Slave One? They'll be, well, what's the one bit?
Yeah.
Slave One? What's the one? That one takes it is the throw off. So they made an issue where there is none, as far as I'm concerned.
What I'll say is interesting, and it was something I was reading just recently, because Lego just came out with like a collector's edition set of the Black Pearl, and they're calling it Captain Jack Sparrow's ship.
Mm.
And people were saying that they think there's an added licensing fee for the naming of certain ships, where I'm like, maybe that's the case. I don't know, because
Sure.
like I could not see them wanting to put out that model and being like, this is Captain Jack Sparrow's ship, like as the name of it. Like, I
Yeah.
wonder if there's an extra licensing step for certain things where they're just changing it. I don't know, but that's what it says on this big $360 Lego set. It says Captain Jack Sparrow's ship, and it's
But you
coming
would
out.
think that Captain Jack Sparrow would be also copyrighted.
Yeah,
I
think
know. I don't get it. I don't know what it is, but
My-
people are saying that might not be. They might not be like changing these names for what the reasons you may think. I don't know.
I would guess in that instance that more people, and children included, will be familiar with Captain Jack Sparrow than they
Mhm.
were with Black Pearl.
True.
Like they know who Captain Jack Sparrow is. If you say what's the Black Pearl to a kid, they might be, is it a Black Pearl? I don't know.
True.
But if you say what's Captain Jack Sparrow? Oh, he's Pirates of the Caribbean. So it might be
Yeah.
a marketing choice in that case.
It might be. Let's just face it. There's decisions going on way above our heads. Let's just, you know what? Let's just focus on what we can focus on. We're not going to change any of that stuff. We're not the big wigs. We're just people who give the money to the big wigs. That's all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, Mark, I sit there and I look and I'm like, I get it. The industry you're in it's highs and highs and lows and lows, and there's peaks and valleys of jobs, of seasonality, of all those kind of things. But I will say, looking at the work you do just on your own away from that, super talented. I mean, let's face it, we interacted and started interacting just because you're so great online and you were great to communicate with us, and we were happy to talk to someone who was Boba Fett at one point in time. But to really look at the things you've done over your career and then seeing this work that you do just on your own, there's a lot of people in the world just wish they had that much talent in anything. So hats off to you. And man, it's just I'm blown away by seeing the artwork you've done on top of the work you've done in the movie industry. It's just great. So we can't thank you enough to come and take your time to do this with us.
No, thank you guys. It's very nice of you to say so.
So, do you think that your work in the animation makes your work in the actual art better, stronger? And do you think there's a correlation? Do you think by doing that and having that creative outlet helps you become better in the animation?
Maybe. I think so. I think they're all related because you kind of share an eye, an eye for things, whether that be composition or a color like we are just talking about, or motion. When it comes to animation, it's really the study of movement. So if you're animating an elephant, you can't just make him just walk. You got to know how an elephant walks. You got to critique. You could. There was a lot of animation I saw in the first Jumanji. They were working on Jumanji when we were working on Casper, and some of that animation is like a lion looks weird. That lion moves weirdly, and it's really because the motion isn't correct. And like I was saying earlier, like someone might see something and it irks them. They don't know what's wrong with it, but they know it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will irk them, and they're not sure why it bothers them. So I think it might be that that kind of is the thing that correlates between all of the different disciplines like painting, drawing, animation, whatever.
And to kind of follow up where I was going with that is something that I've been told. I'm in the miniature painting world. I paint those little figurines, like the D&D figures. I paint those little guys. Like that's where my art and my creativity comes from. And somebody who also paints and is a painter, essentially just said that like I didn't realize how much creativity that I had until I started doing that. And somebody made it and said it was like a muscle. Like creativity is a muscle that. Joe said that you have so much talent, and I'm not saying that you don't. I think that you continue to hone your talent as well. You continue to sharpen your muscles and keep making it, and you have talent. And over time, if Joe committed as much time, could get to that same level potentially. But you can become more creative by doing more and staying creative.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, when I started in commercials, this is maybe 1992. We went to. I was working on traditional drawn animation commercials. So before I got into the computer, before I got to ILM, and I said to my boss, I said, his name was Tony Catania. He was the guy that designed the Frosty's Tiger, or Frosted Flakes, they call it here.
Yeah, Tony the Tiger.
He designed Tony the Tiger. His name was Tony. I said, Tony, when am I going to get timing down? Like timing, like I was saying about, movement and the timing of that. The timing is kind of the crux of whether animation works or not. When am I going to get timing down? He goes, you'll never get timing down. And I was just, what? And he said, I'm 63 and I'm still learning with every new shot, every new show, every new project. I'm still learning. And if you get to the point where you feel like you've learned everything, you're plateauing. So you have to accept that you'll never be as good as you want to be, that you always have room for improvement, and you will grow, continue to grow. I was working with a guy on Dinosaur. He was in the next cubicle over. I won't mention his name. But he came over and he's like, he was asking me about lip sync. He was doing a lip sync. I had to do the body animation for Aladar. And I don't know why, this is before I got assigned Aladar. But I had to do the body animation and he was doing the lip sync. And he had a line from Forget Paris, because we were testing Timothy Hutton's voice for Aladar. So we take a line from a movie and we do an animation and see if the two kind of gel, He comes over and he said, I got this line. It's something like, I have to take 200 milliliters of Dramamine just to get on a plane, or something like that. And he goes, I've got this line. I'm trying to animate him saying milliliters, but milli, I've only got 3 frames, but there's 5 letters. So I said to him, it's just 2 shapes. It's the M and the E, milli. And you just, with the tongue, accentuate the L, milli. It's just 2 shapes. I said, you should use a mirror. He goes, no, that's cheating. And I said, I won't say his name, blah, blah, blah. you're going to plateau if you have that attitude that you don't need a mirror or you don't need to reference real life. You're not gonna, this all the Disney animators, the 9 old men, all use mirrors. The guy animating Pluto would be mugging into the mirror and then doing the Pluto version of the face he was pulling. You, I don't think you ever get to a point where you feel like I've done it, or if you have, like I said, I think you're kind of hurting yourself as an artist.
I got to share this photo from my vacation. There's
There
my
you go.
That's
my
my
son.
boy.
There's my son with
That's my
Aladar
boy.
right there.
I designed that
Wow.
guy. I designed him. We had to design Aladar so that he could act. And a regular iguanodon has sideways facing eyes like a rabbit. So it's hard to get a read from the front of eyes and mouth. That's what you read for an expression or an emotion, especially in dialogue. Eyes with the mouth. And so we changed his eyes from being side facing. We kind of angled them slightly inward so that you could get a read from the front and read the mouth and these two eyes and get an expression to the audience we're going to pick up on. So yeah, he was I had to with lots of trial and error. It was not just myself, it was myself and David Krentz that designed Aladar. He had a lot to do with it as well.
So you were responsible for putting lemurs at the same time as the dinosaurs?
That's the thing is I was
the science people around me, like, I love the movie, but there's other science people in my life that are like,
Yeah,
are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, we cheated a lot of but when it came to the lemurs, I didn't touch the lemurs. I didn't animate one lemur ever. Because he had lemurs on his back, I had to get the animation for Aladar approved before the lemurs could be animated, because everything Aladar does, the lemurs have to respond to. So you have to have Aladar approved and finalized before the lemur guys, that we call them lemur guys, because that's all they did was lemurs. We put those 4 lemurs on his back. But the thing is that back in the day, Disney would do what they called cumulative footage. Cumulative footage, if you have a 5-foot scene, because you're always judged on how fast you animated or how much footage you did. So a 5-foot scene with Aladar and 4 lemurs, they would divide that 5 foot between the characters. So if I animated Aladar for 5 feet, I'd only get 1 foot. You done 1 foot, and whoever did the 4 lemurs would get 4 feet because they did 4 characters. It was very, very unfair the way they assessed how much you'd contributed to a movie based on that calculation.
So does that factor into the contract? Is that kind of like
it factors into your baseball trading between shows? They called what they call baseball trading, and the next show that followed Dinosaur, the next show was Treasure Planet. So Treasure Planet guys would be looking at the dinosaur animators and assessing who they might want to work on their movie, So they go for this kind of trading thing, because it wouldn't be just Treasure Planet, it'd be Treasure Planet and I can't remember what the other show was that just run alongside. There's always like 3 shows running alongside each other at Disney, or there was. And so your footage, or your how good you are, how much you contribute, how much you can get done, factors into whether people want to hire you onto their show or not. Or, this guy does much more footage than this guy, let's hire him,
Which it was also groundbreaking animation at the time of Dinosaur as well. So it was like, I'm sure that there was a lot of learning as you went, probably doing that too.
That was the thing, that all the shows, Casper, we'd never done lip sync before. So we had to work out a way to do lip sync. So there were 2 groups. There's my group. We were kind of more the traditional animation thinking, where, like I said, we do a large, if you do a closed mouth and you do an open O and you blend between the two, it looks like he's opening and closing his mouth and going, oh, The other group set up the little sensors, the mocap sensors around the lips. So they got an actress in or the actor in. They put these little sensors, the little tiny silver cubes, they glued to their lips, and they recorded that data and then applied it to the polygons of Casper, and it would move the shape, the model. It was the creepiest looking Casper. Like, that was the horror version of Casper. Like, their version, it was just this undulating kind of creepy. So they did their version. We did our version. We looked at the end results, and they picked our way to go. But it seemed, I didn't realize how on the tip of everything I was at ILM. Like, we were making things. We were making it up as we went along and setting what are now studio standards. Like, now, blend shapes are like a studio standard. Like, our version of the lip sync is now the studio standard for all shows. Now they're going more into capturing that data and it not looking creepy, because they do it for games now, and they've come a long way. But Dinosaur, we were just making it up as we go along, and it was scary, but it was fun as well.
I mean, so Doc, you said that, like, groundbreaking. I was just going to bring up, I mean, he was Casper, which was also, like, groundbreaking with animation. He went back and did the Star Wars animated specials, which was what led to a lot of the prequels, which was the testing of, like, basically Jar Jar Binks, and all of this stuff that they're doing leads to Jar Jar Binks. Like that's the part of your career that just blows me away. And when you sit back and think about, like, okay, I was at the ground floor and I helped develop a lot of, like you said, just those industry standards. Like, just from talking and hearing your stories, I love hearing the stories of movie making, and I love learning about what you do. But yeah, you've been on the ground floor for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I've been in the trenches for a lot of things, but also it's a scary place to be, because there's millions of dollars resting on your shoulders, So,
do you feel the weight of that? What, like, so if you were to get this ILM job, or not ILM, if you're going to get this Lucasfilm job, do you, like, and I don't know if it's Star Wars, I don't know if it's Indiana Jones, whatever it is, but you're up for this interview. Do you feel the weight of that show as you're working on your 3-hour previs block that you have to get sent off before lunch?
Yeah. Even the Walmart commercial I just finished, I felt, because who's it get assigned to? Me, nobody else. Like, I got to do something, and in 3 days show them something. So nobody else, and they're going to come back in 3 days and want to see their commercial with this flying camera doing everything they asked of it. That was a weird show, because I'm talking about the commercial, because they didn't have a storyboard. So that was extra pressure. They just described what they wanted. They supplied the toys.
How long was that conversation with the director when you said that they just described it? How long did you get to ask your probably 10,000 questions that are running through your head from as they start talking?
Okay, I turn up on the first morning. First of all, I have to learn how to log into their setup, because every studio is set up differently. Once I'm set up, it's about 10:30, so an hour and a half. Then I get to meet the director, and he talks about what he wants. On that commercial, he had a completely different idea to begin with. We tried 2 different ideas before we landed on one that kind of was working. So I had to make that commercial 3 times. And the third version of the commercial was what we saw through to the end. But that was particularly stressful, because we didn't have a storyboard. It wasn't like a storyboard I could say, well, I stuck to your storyboard. It was just like, how's this idea versus this idea versus this idea? And they chose which one they wanted to go with, But yeah, it's like when you've got, once you've spoken to the director and he says go, and it's like, lunchtime on your first day, you've got literally 15 hours to kind of come up with something before the client comes in and
Yep.
wants to see a commercial that sells their toys, or at least the beginnings of it.
D-Doc, I know you do a lot of videos on your own, and you are creative to where there's people who will pay you to do some creative things. Joey will have a company reach out to him and say, "Hey, we want you to do some videos on this topic." Okay, and he'll go and shoot 3 or 4 ideas and go back to them, and they'll go, "Oh, this is great. We'll get back to you." And then a day or two later, they come back and say, "This one we like this. This one we like this. Say this different here. Say this different here." And that's not even. He's not doing anything but speaking and looking at a camera. Well,
Yeah.
Mark, I mean, I can only imagine with what Mark's doing, to where you have to change all
Yeah.
kinds of things about it. I mean, that's crazy.
They said when I started animation, you have to be prepared as an animator to kill your babies, and I was like, what? What? And they said
No, I get that.
you can't be too attached
Yes.
to anything you create, because it doesn't belong to you. For one thing, you're creating someone else's vision. That's why some shows go easier than others. It depends on how good the director is at relaying that vision to me.
Yeah.
It helps if they bring artwork. They don't always, but it helps if they bring artwork. If I have a storyboard and artwork, it gets me 50% there. Like, at least I know what I'm doing. I just have to make that artwork and storyboard work. But like with this commercial, it was just like, this is what we had, and we don't like this, and this in it. So we want you to do something that isn't that. So you're literally creating something for 5 hours, and they come in and, no, we don't like that. Can we try this instead? You gotta just dump it. It's gone. Start over, because it's very rarely you can salvage anything from that first version. It's more work to kind of work out what you can keep and erase the other bits. It's easy if you start from the ground up.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it's soul destroying sometimes as well. Some shows I've quit.
I'm sorry. Is it easier with a team, or is it easier solo? I know that's a tough question.
I'm not sure. It's easier in that, like, we did the previews for the Hi Ho song in Snow White, the one that just released. So all we did was the Hi Ho song, and I had a big crew for that. And so you think, oh, it's easier because you have all these guys working with you, but that's a lot of guys to sheepdog, herd. So in some ways, it's easier if you just do it yourself. On Ultraman, Ultraman, Back to the Outback, and Leo. They're the 3 Netflix shows. That was the first time I had to work solo from actually this seat here. So this was my Netflix office
That's
for
awesome.
those 4 years, and you feel like you're isolated a bit. Like, I'm not the techiest person. I've got that artistic eye, but I'm not technically strong. So I do need someone technical to help me with those kind of issues that I might run into. But yeah, sometimes it's easier if you're on your own, because you could just, okay, I'm just gonna lay it out. And usually you get a bit more time when it's on your own. Like for the Netflix shows, I would get 3 to 3.5 weeks for a sequence. But some of those sequences would, like one of the Back to the Outback sequences, had 117 shots in it. So it's one sequence, but it's 117 shots. So they gave me 4 weeks for that. But if you think about it, if you do the math, how many shots you have to do per day, you've got 20 days to do 117 shots. So that's when you've got to really jam. It's not 2 shots per day. That's out the window. You've got to do 5 shots per day. So it's easier sometimes with a crew. It's sometimes easier by yourself. it's swings and roundabouts, basically.
Alfie, I've got to ask you. Brent, D-Doc, and myself have been talking a ton to Mark. You've been sitting there taking it all in.
I've been raising my hand.
Go.
I'm sorry.
It's all
Go.
right.
Go, Alfie.
Okay, so going back to when we were talking about Casper,
Mhm.
being kind of in this industry from, especially with like the CGI from the beginning, right? Like you
Yeah.
said, making things up.
Yeah.
As an animator, what was it like seeing, this progression to where, just a few years ago, you saw, I would say for almost everyone, the first time you see it, 100% believable young Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, like, the more times you watch it, you pick up flaws, but to me, thinking, as I'm sitting here listening to you talk about this stuff, like, seeing it, making an almost believable human being.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's not so much animation though. They literally just have the actor that stood in, or have Mark Hamill, there, and they have the motion sensors on his face. And like I said, now they've kind of got that motion sensor down, so they can literally take all the expressions that he's pulling and paste it onto this younger version of his face, and
Right.
substitute that in, or the younger version of Jeff Bridges in Tron Legacy. They've slowly kind of incrementally gotten better at it as it got along. Like Princess Leia at the end of Rogue One wasn't quite Carrie Fisher,
Mm-mm.
but they've gotten better since then. So Luke Skywalker looked better than Princess Leia did, and they're improving all the time. The technology just it's just exponentially growing. It's been hard as an animator to kind of keep up with technology, or keep up with that evolution. In some ways, you have to kind of adapt with it. Like the biggest pressure on me now is that I'm not using Unreal Engine. Like everyone uses Unreal Engine now, and I'm a Maya guy. I started with Softimage and learned Maya back in the 90s, and Maya has been this industry standard, but now Unreal Engine, the game engines, are taking over. And so a lot of the jobs I apply for, it will say Unreal Engine experience. Oh, that's not me. So I'm glad that I can see Horizon. On the horizon, I got retirement. 60 next year. So,
Wow, really?
60 next July. And so I'm hoping to retire before Unreal Engine is like... Well, actually talking to the guys at ILM, they were, do you know Unreal Engine? And I said, I've done some Unreal Engine training at Netflix, but I said, I'm willing to learn it. I don't think you learn a software until you get to use it yourself. It's one thing to do training, but until you have a situation where I have to make the software give me something specific.
Right.
I'm not going to compromise. I found very early on that I was compromising with the computer when I first learned the computer. And I was close enough, but you can't settle for close enough. You got to make it give you what you want. It's like AI. AI doesn't give you exactly what you want, and some people are okay with that. But in this industry, you really have to can't compromise.
Yeah.
That vision that the director has is what you got to deliver. Not something that's approximate to it. Ours is close enough, isn't it? That's not going to fly. You have to deliver. So it's been tough the last few years, just because Unreal Engine is kept taking over a bit. On Ultraman, we had the decision whether we was going to go Unreal Engine or Maya. And the reason we stuck with Maya is because you can work in Maya, and if it looks good in Maya and then you put it into Unreal Engine, it's going to look amazing. So if it works in Maya, like if it works in Storyboard, then you know it's going to work in 3D. Kind of.
Yeah.
It's like if you do a painting, but you do a sketch first. You've got more control over the painting.
That's what with you bringing up Unreal Engine now, it's interesting because I heard they're shooting 4 different scenes now for the Millennium Falcon ride that's in Disney, and I heard them saying they're developing it with they're going through the developments with Unreal Engine, and I'm just like, interesting, because I'm like, I know Unreal Engine as a gaming thing, and I'm like, I guess they're using that software to develop the visuals for the Millennium Falcon ride in Disney. Like, that's crazy.
Well, in Unreal Engine will deliver you a realistic environment off the bat. You can set the weather, you can set the position of the sun, you can do whatever time of day. You can put smoke effects in there, 3D smoke effects. You have all this that we're simulating. Smoke in Maya is a level that you can comp on. It's an effect. Unreal Engine gives you this world to shoot your movies in, basically. So it's just like the freedom you have to walk around a sandbox game is the same freedom these filmmakers are finding they have inside of Unreal Engine. The danger is, and this is why we avoided an Ultraman, is that if you do a first pass, you can get blown away by the visuals, like, whoa, look at that sunset, and you're not really looking at what you're supposed to be looking at. Like, I'm working on the composition of this character to this camera and the action, of how the two work together. If I show you this in Maya with very simple plain backgrounds, you're looking at what you're supposed to look at. If you go straight into Unreal Engine, you've got all this other visual density and dexterity, and you're it's flooded with visuals to distract you from what you should be focusing on. So, like I said, last year I worked on a game cinematic for a game called Godforge. It's a phone game that's coming out, and we worked in Maya, and then everything I did in Maya got imported into Unreal Engine. So I'd animate the character in Maya, and then they export my animation, put it into Unreal Engine, and then it would look like those crazy, amazing visuals that we're expecting from game engines. But it was a very important step to work in Maya first, without that distraction, do everything I needed to do, and then show it to the client, with all those bells and whistles on.
Nice.
So is Maya similar to like an Autodesk? Is it in like the Autodesk Inventor? Is it kind of it's a CAD program like that? Like
yeah.
Okay.
And in Maya, Maya, when you open up Maya, there's nothing there, so you have to create your environment or build your environment. When you open up Unreal Engine, there's an environment. How do you want to edit it?
Got it.
Do you want the mountains further or closer?
And if I remember correctly, going back to watching the stuff with Favreau and Filoni, I believe they use Unreal Engine for the volume. So the volume, and so the Mando volume, like like what you're saying, the background. That's why it looks so realistic as the background, is because it's Unreal Engine driving that background.
Yeah, those are the guys I was working with on. I just mentioned this Godforge cinematic I worked on. I was working with the Mandalorian guys. The guys that did all the backgrounds for Mandalorian season 1, 2, Book of Boba Fett. Those guys I was working for, but we were making this game. So I was the one telling them, no, I don't want to dive straight into Unreal. I want to keep everything simple so that if it looks great in Maya, I know it's going to look fantastic when it goes into Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
So if we sell I made the whole game cinematic. I think it was like a minute 7 seconds, something like that. I did the whole cinematic in Maya and got them to approve it in Maya, and only then did we export it into Unreal and start working on all those details, like reflections and lighting and stuff like that.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Well, Mark, I know I told you, hey, we'll keep you for an hour tonight. We're already almost to an hour and 45 minutes. So but I'm enjoying all the stories, but I also know your time's valuable. We're taking up your evening, and your dog, thankfully got his food.
Yeah.
But anybody else want to hit anything else as we go around before we break away and close up shop for chapter 341? D-Doc,
I
Alfie, Brant.
apologize. I was going to say, I apologize to Alfie. I feel like I dominated and asked about 10,000 questions. If you can't tell, the animation part of things, is super interesting to me. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing the stories.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure.
And Alfie, I'm giving you a free pass that next week when I'm gone, you get to talk the most, and Brent and D-Doc have to listen to what you say.
I seriously doubt that I will be the one that talks the most. My mind's still fixated on those Boba Fett paintings, so it's been hard to form any other thoughts.
One last one.
Good.
He's going to give you one last one to check out, Alfie.
This is a self-portrait.
Oh.
This is a pencil.
No,
that's
phone board.
crazy.
That's a photograph. I mean,
No, it's not.
I know, but I'm just saying from afar that.
Look at that.
So amazing.
That is crazy.
Telling you, start putting the event together, Mark. That's all I'm telling you right now. D-Doc, any closing stuff? Go ahead, Brent, Alfie.
Sorry. I hope at some point in time we get to meet in person at a convention or something.
Yeah.
Most definitely. D-Doc?
Yeah, I hope you find the right prints for your photos because or for your art because Joe's got me on the bug. When I was just in Disney, the only thing I bought was art when I was there. There's a store there, the Art of Disney, and that's what I knew it was going to be the last spot I hit, and that's what I've really been into is like some art prints to take home, and that's what I did. So I really hope you find the prints for them, and because I will be buying some of your prints. It's
awesome.
Your work is amazing, and it's always fun having you on here. And just like Brent was saying, it's so cool to just hear a dive into the movie world, and I always come off these episodes when you're on being like, I just learned so much about like the movie industry and everything. So.
Well, that's good. That's good. That means I'm actually saying something that's valuable.
It is. It absolutely is.
Mark, thanks again. Mark, if you would, I always tell people, tell everybody where they can track you down and follow you on social media and see all the stuff that you're posting.
Yeah, I'm very easy to find. Everything is at Boba Fett ANHSE, and still people to this day say, what's the ANHSE stand for? Like A New Hope Special Edition.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go. Well, anybody who's out there listening, if you don't know Mark's story, first of all, you just heard a ton of things from his story right there, but I think we just hit the surface of it. Go check him out on IMDb. Go look at his social media posts and everything like that, because as Dr. Squatch mentioned earlier, he's a great follow on social media. And if you see that he's going to be at a local convention or something like that, a con, go check that out, because he's a great person to meet. And I'm sure you'd love to hear that you listen to him on Rule the Galaxy. But Mark, I'm chomping at the bit. I hope that you decide to do that show. And we will be there with bells on, ready to promote it, talk about it, do a live podcast from it, whatever you want. And also, best wishes to you on the job front. And we hope it goes well. We want nothing but success for you, because you've been so kind to us over the years to come on and talk about Star Wars and the movie industry and animation and everything else. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys.
You got it. That was chapter 341 of the Rule the Galaxy podcast. Again, if you're listening to the podcast version, go ahead, listen to this, but go check out the visuals on the YouTube, because it's fantastic this time. And you know what? I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. The D-Doc, Alfie, and Brent will be running the show. So have fun with those guys. I have no rules, no constraints on them whatsoever. They can talk about and do whatever they want. And also, I do know that a couple of our next guests are going to be Mark Thompson, one of our favorite Star Wars book narrators and voice actors. He's always great. And Ryan McGee from Never Tell Me the Odds podcast and ESPN and the SEC network. So they'll be coming up soon. We got a few more spots to fill on some other people coming in. And again, Jack Harvey, once I get back, I think we'll be locking him in to come in and talk about Star Wars and him being part owner in a soccer team now. So thanks again, Mark. Thanks to you guys. You're always the best. I'm going to miss you while I'm gone. And if I find anything Star Wars in Italy, I will make sure to bring it back to you guys, or at least take pictures if it's too expensive. That's it. Until next time, may the Force be with you.